Wayne slowly explained. Long ago, when this place was still inhabited by Native Americans, there was once a legendary warrior who used the Night Dagger to defend the land from invading tribes, killing tens of thousands on his own. All of the leaders who had been listening couldn't help but gasp when they heard him say that. Although the legend sounded overly exaggerated, no one dared to doubt its authenticity since it came from Wayne's mouth. Whether it was in terms of experience or knowledge, he was second to none. Wouldn't it be unfair to use a weapon like that during the competition? It's like using a cheat code to win. The dean of the Northern Institute for Natural Healing, Jeffrey Bowie, suddenly objected. What's the matter with Jeffrey? He's probably just afraid to lose, Harley Shepard thought to himself as he gave Jeffrey a stern look. Nonsense. Let him use the competition as a chance to learn and develop. Besides, it would be wrong for us to hold back greatness. We could be witnessing another legend in the making. Wayne beamed with joy. However, the others couldn't help but feel uneasy about this, and their unhappiness showed on their faces. Kevin had already shown so much promise. If everything Wayne said came true, then the sky would be the limit for his prodigy. More importantly, he was a student of the School for the Healing Arts. Given the honor and prestige of taking someone like Kevin under their wing, everyone knew that Wayne and Harley would do their best to keep him in their school. And whoever Kevin chose to align with later on would have massive ramifications for everyone else. After a few minutes, Kevin had already returned to a seat in the stands. Along the way, everyone graciously made way for him either out of fear or respect. Even Mike, Lionel, and Luther couldn't say a word to him. Thank you, Kevin. Penny had a teary-eyed look. Instead of thanking me verbally, why don't you give me a massage? That Clarissa is really strong, so my shoulders are pretty sore, Kevin teased as he sat down. If Kevin had said these words in the past, it definitely would have drawn a lot of ridicule. But now, who would dare argue with him? Let me do it. Mackenzie suddenly stood up and volunteered. She quickly started massaging Kevin's shoulders in front of everyone. Don't worry. Since you and your grandfather are both from the Myriads, I won't stop fighting until I win this competition and save him, Kevin reassured her. Thank you. Mackenzie remembered that she had snapped at Kevin earlier and wanted to make it up to him with this small gesture. Suddenly, Dalton slapped Kevin's arms a few times with some force. What did you do that for? I was just trying to relax. Kevin raised his eyebrows in surprise. Don't let it look like you're enjoying yourself too much. Remember, Lily is right over there. Dalton lectured him earnestly as he pointed to where Kevin's wife was sitting. Kevin was stunned when he heard that. He'd forgotten how their class was seated very close to Lily's. And when he slowly turned to check on her, he could feel his wife looking at him as if she was about to eat him alive. Lily, don't get the wrong idea. Kevin immediately jumped from his seat and quickly ran over to explain himself. This action immediately changed everyone's view of Kevin once again. Tough guy one minute, unfaithful husband the next. Turns out he's still a useless son-in-law after all. I can't believe you. You win one fight and now you think you're all that, huh? What's worse is that you're cheating on me right in front of everyone. Why don't you go back to your lover? Lily was fuming. Lily, listen to me. It's not what you think it is. Kevin was so anxious that the veins on his forehead were about to pop out. At the moment, it seemed that his own wife was a much scarier opponent than Clarissa. I don't know why I keep trusting you back, but I'll let it slide for now, Lily sighed. She didn't know why she kept running into these types of situations with Kevin. Still, he had always been good to her, so she always gave him the benefit of the doubt and stuck with him. Then Lily reached out and hugged Kevin's waist. I'm glad you won and that you're safe. But the following rounds will even be more dangerous. You must be careful. Hearing this, Kevin's heart suddenly calmed down. Don't worry, Lily. I'll be fine. Suddenly, everyone heard a loud voice. The first round of the competition has officially ended. For those who have advanced, I shall now announce the matchups for the second round. Central Alternative Healing Academy's Clarissa Pratt versus Union Sophia Lewis. Southeast School for Natural Medicine's Clyde Davis versus the Healing Arts School's Kevin Williams. Lily, it's time for me to go back to the martial arts arena. Wait for me after the competition ends in the afternoon. Kevin reluctantly let go of Lily. There were less than 10 minutes left before the contestants' rest time ended. Thus, Kevin had to make the most of it in order to regain his peak condition. Many people understood that today's highlight would be the last round of the competition. The first round was just a warm-up for the stronger contestants who would then start facing each other in the succeeding rounds. Kevin, come over here! Professor Murdock waved her hand with a solemn expression. Sure. What's up, Professor Murdock? Kevin walked up and said with a smile. Professor Murdock thought for a while as she carefully chose her words. You did a great job earlier, but you can now forfeit this next matchup. What? I thought you wanted me to win this whole thing. Is Clyde too strong for me? Kevin asked in confusion. Just as Professor Murdock was about to reply, Mike suddenly stood up and laughed loudly. Since Professor Murdock asked you to give up, you'd better listen to her. She doesn't want you to embarrass our class. The reason he had the confidence to start making fun of him again was all because he had overheard his exchange with Lily earlier. He believed that no matter how strong Kevin had seemed during his battle with Clarissa, at the end of the day he was still a useless son-in-law who answered to his wife. However, Kevin didn't pay any attention to Mike and asked Professor Murdock again. Why are you making me quit all of a sudden? Well, Kevin, it's because Clyde is ranked third among all the contestants from the top 10 organizations. Hardened by years of intense training, he's mastered the iron wall technique, which allows him to endure the most unimaginable levels of physical pain. Some claim he's even learned to find enjoyment in it, and he seeks to inflict the same amount of damage when he tortures his opponents. Therefore, for the sake of safety, it would be better for you to give up. Professor Murdock cautioned him. She was afraid that if Kevin wasn't careful, he might end up getting permanently disabled or suffer an agonizing death at Clyde's hands. What kind of person enjoys pain? Kevin wondered. Still, he was intrigued by the idea of facing such an enigmatic opponent. Wayne Ford noticed Kevin wielding the legendary Night Dagger, and the thought of having such a special student train at the Healing Arts School excited him. However, the other leaders of the top 10 organizations felt uneasy about this. Back at his seat, no one dared to speak ill of Kevin. However, after apologizing to Lily for enjoying Mackenzie's massage, the others started mocking him again. Just then, the Southeast School for Natural Medicine's Clyde Davis was announced as his next opponent. Ranked third overall, Clyde had mastered the iron wall technique, making him practically immune to extreme pain. Fearing for Kevin's safety, Professor Murdock encouraged him to forfeit. However, Kevin was intrigued. Don't worry, Professor Murdock. I'm sure I can handle it, Kevin reassured her as he continued to walk towards the resting area of the martial arts arena.
Please subscribe to the Pocket FM YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notification. Check out our channel for more such exciting shows.